Welcome to Conversations with Aiyana, where we talk about what matters to me the most. Today we are going to be talking about sex trafficking and the murdered missing Indigenous women, also known as MMIW. And before we begin, today's conversation will be a difficult one, so please take care of yourself. In the comments down below, I will have links to resources that you or a loved one may need. Today we are speaking with my amazing mentor and friend, Kelly Diane Galloway, the president and founder of Project Mona's House, and an amazing advocate for the safety of women. So, what inspired you to start Mona's House?
Wow. So I think that is a layered question. I think that I always, ever since I was a child, realized that if there is a need that I see, maybe the reason why I see it or am burdened by it is because I'm supposed to do something about it. And so when I learned that Buffalo did not have a home for women who had been victimized by human trafficking, but that we were the second largest city in the state that experienced this type of crime, then who's going to do something about it? And so instead of me using my, what they call them, Twitter fingers, instead of me using Twitter fingers to say, you know what, something needs to be done about it, I just put my money where my burden was. I put my effort where my burden was, and I did something about it. And so I opened up Western New York's first restoration home for human trafficking victims. But I do think that there's something even deeper than just feeling burdened by it. I think that, I believe in God, and I believe that I'm called to do this work. And so when people are like, well, Kelly, like, how did you do it? Did you have the money? Did you have the resources? Did you have the people? The answer is no. But I had a word from God, and I just walked blindly by faith without a dollar. I remember when we walked into the first house, the house is worth $600,000. I probably had $6 on it. And I remember walking in, it was an open house. I walked in, I said, y'all should really take this sign down. And so the owner, he was like, are you gonna buy it? I said, yeah, I believe that God said that this is our house. And so he was like, all right, feel free to buy it then. And I remember walking out of there, and that night I found out that same house that they were selling, his wife was also renting. And I could afford the rent. And I was like, if I could just get my foot in the door and get the rent, then I know that I can get the rest of the money.
Right.
And so I believe that this entire walk has just been like a radical faith walk. And I believe that being a descendant of individuals who are trafficked, so I'm 39 years old, right? But I'm only the third generation of my family to not be born on a plantation. Everybody else in my family was born enslaved, even after slavery was eradicated, so-called eradicated in the United States. And so when I think about what my ancestors would have been praying for, what would have been the desire of their heart, I think that the desire of their heart would have been that somebody would have freed them, or that somebody would have done something. And I believe that was a prayer that they prayed. And because slavery still exists today, I believe that I'm an answer to those prayers. Because I may not have come in their time, but I still came, and with that burden to free those who are still in prison today. And so that is what inspired me to do the work, that there are still people experiencing what my ancestors experienced, and I just can't sit back and do nothing about it. So that's how we got here.
I love the story. I love feeling and hearing the energy and passion behind it as you explain it.
So who is Aiyana JC?
Aiyana JC is a Afro-Indigenous model, activist, and a full-time college student who does everything she can to bring awareness to the missing murdered Indigenous women crisis here in North America.
What got you interested in starting your work in that fight for the missing and murdered Indigenous women?
Seeing the statistics and the way that my heart just broke hearing these stories, knowing that my mom has hit several statistics knowing that I am a product of domestic violence and have experienced my own stalking, and just the fact that I just want Native girls to be seen and heard, whether it's for them to come home or just they did something. They had a milestone, they hit a big accomplishment, and that just needs to be shared with the world.
What do you think the world thinks about Indigenous women? What do you think that the greater community in North America thinks about Indigenous women?
Mainly that we're not here, because that's what the schools are teaching them. So because that narrative is pushed out, I believe that is the narrative that most people believe.
And when people are not seen, their needs are not addressed.
Correct.
Well, number one, just thank you for your fight. Thank you for the work that you're doing to represent this population.
Thank you.
What stories, you said that some of the stories and some of the statistics that you heard really deeply impacted you, even starting with your mother, the one who birthed you and brought you into this world. What story, if you could think of just one, tell us about that story, and what about that story really deeply moved you or caused you to want to do something about it? Or what's a story that we should know about?
I'm going to tell a quick story of my mother's story. When she was 12 years old, she was sexually assaulted. When she was 18 or 19, she got into a domestic relationship. And then a couple years later, out came me. So honestly, that knowing that this is how I started, and your mother's story in a way is your story, that I want to do everything that I can to protect myself from not having to hit those statistics. But while I'm doing that, I'm still paving the way to make sure that other Indigenous women aren't hitting those statistics.
So tell us about some of the things that you're doing to make sure that people don't either don't become a part of those statistics, or that they even know those statistics even exist.
So I host fashion shows, I table at events, I do podcasts, radio shows, and this summer I just got approved for undergraduate research.
What?
So I will be doing some research on MMIW, so I'm really excited for that.
Let's clap that up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I think you went through that, you went past that fashion show way too fast. Let's run that back. Let's talk about that fashion show and all the different things, all the different moving parts, because I know that when I first met you, you were like, hey, I have this vision and I could see it in my head already, but when I got there, it was better than I had even imagined.
Well,
and
thank
so you're welcome. Thank you. And so let's talk about like what happens at that fashion show. It's not just a fashion show.
It's not. I like to proudly say that I am not your average fashion show. When you go in there, you're not going to get this is your designer, this is the model wearing X, Y, and Z, and then you just kind of see them walk out, and then they walk out with their designer again as a final walk. So what I do is I really create a story. And my goal is to have you walk in their shoes, hence the name. So when you go in there, I want to really captivate what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're tasting, all five. If I can grab all five senses, I'm gonna grab all five senses. So what I do is I highlight and give you statistics about MMIW while I want to say this. So we'll come out, we'll have a song, and the song is gonna be some Indigenous song, and the lyrics are telling a story. The lyrics have purpose. The clothes will match the lyrics or the song, so those all have a purpose. And then there's also sections where my mother narrates the stories and the show, and she gives stories, and she's told her story. She gives statistics like 1 out of 3 women who experience sexual assault, murder, going missing. 4 to 5 experience domestic violence. Murder is a third leading cause of death. 1 out of 2, or 48.8% of women will experience stalking in their lifetime. So we highlight those things. But then we also pick it back up on a more positive note and just like, hey, this is who we are. These are our people. This is our language. Like, we are beautiful and we are more than just a victim.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
I know that you had a pretty scary experience recently, and taking into consideration like your feelings, why don't you share what you feel comfortable sharing?
All right. So this January, I had started a new job, and I was there for about not even a full 2 weeks yet. I started a little bit before New Year's, did some training videos and maybe like a day or two of actual like hands-on training. And then New Year's hit. I come back to work and a coworker of mine on his off day came in while I was scheduled to be working. It was extremely busy. It's getting close to the end of my shift. And there's a line full of people too in the store. Stops me to give me a New Year's gift, which is something I've never heard before, brand new. And he pulls out a Macy's bag, and inside the Macy's bag is a pair of boots. My size, exactly. So I definitely thought to myself at the moment, like, why boots? Like, is it a coincidence? Was it intentional? Either way, it's just very eerie because all of the work that I do is on Google, and it's very easy to get access to information on me and my Instagram and what I'm doing and where I'm going next and upcoming events, past events, how those ran. So it definitely just gave me a second to kind of just like think and be like, wow, that's a lot that I have out there. Should I like censor it? Should I like be more careful what I'm putting on the internet? And then I'm like, no, like my job is to be a voice for other people who can't always be a voice for themselves. So I should be very completely honest and open about everything that I'm going through in this activism journey for this. So if I'm going through something, then I need to be open and honest with my followers about what I'm going through, because they could be going through the same thing. And if I'm honest and open about it, then maybe that inspires somebody else to be honest and open about it. And then after that, I made it my next mission to kind of just do some self-defense. My school had actually offered a RAD program, self-defense. We got an email within like that same week, maybe that next following week. And I made sure that I had a friend that had some availability, and we went up and did the course together. And now I'm just going to continue to take some self-defense courses and maybe be an instructor and be able to teach it to other people.
Okay. And so because the name of your fashion show is A Walk in Her Shoes, you think maybe that's why he bought you shoes?
Possibly. I don't know if it was intentional or just like one of those odd coincidences, just one of those moments like, am I overthinking this? Am I not?
Yeah,
like, I don't really know. And
how
how did you know my size? You're really studying my foot?
So it just so it just raised some flags that made you feel like uncomfortable, and so that just caused you to just take a step back and say like, wow, in this activism role, I'm really in a public position, and it's kind of easy for people to learn a little bit more about me than I had originally anticipated.
Yeah.
When you're doing work with people, sometimes it does put you in the front street, and so. And sometimes it even puts a target on our back. So I definitely understand that.
Knew in the back of my head that doing this work, I could be putting myself in a position to hit something like this. But I also still kind of was just like everybody else, like, it's not going to be me. Like, why me? It's not going to be me, especially doing the work that I'm doing and partnering up with you and always keeping up on Instagram and seeing what you're doing and the facts that you're giving out, and there's always new information. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. No, you won't. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And so I think for individuals who are, watching this and are finding themselves even in their, even in the midst or in the pursuit of their activism journey, just also remember, as we work to protect and keep other people safe, that we have to also work to protect and put measures in place to make sure that we're safe and protected as well.
Definitely.
Well, I want to thank you for doing the work that you're doing. I know from the first time I met you, I just knew that you were a star, just like I told you before. And not a star because you're doing this for fame, but just a star. A star is what Queen Mother Harriet Tubman followed to get to freedom. She followed the North Star, and that's what led her to safety. And so I would say keep shining, because people are following your lead, and they'll find themselves in safety and in freedom because you refuse to dim your light. And so don't hide, don't shrink, be aware, pay attention. But yeah, don't hide and don't shrink, keep shining.
Thank you for those beautiful words, and thank you for coming on here and talking with me today. Thank you for being an amazing mentor, and I cannot wait to see what else we can do. Oh, speaking of that.
Okay.
Give them a little rundown of our collaboration that's going to be coming out?
Oh, yeah. So I believe in art. I believe that we are art. I'm really into cinematic arts, and so my thing is movies and documentaries. However, we produced our first exhibit last year, and so this year I want to do an exhibit. We are going to do an exhibit together about the intersectionality between human trafficking and what missing, murder, and Indigenous women experience. And so we hope that opens up individuals' eyes, and not just opens up your eyes, because I believe there are three things that every movement needs. You need education, agitation, and organization. Yep. And so hopefully individuals be educated through this exhibit, this collaborative project between the two of us and our organizations, and they'll be agitated to say, you know what, I can't live my life like this. We have to do something about this. And then as a result, hopefully we have a new army that's waiting to say, okay, what are our marching orders? And maybe that's changing legislation. Maybe that's providing more safety and security for other individuals who find themselves in a disadvantaged position. And so, yeah, it's going to be epic. Yeah. It's going to be epic, and I want everybody to see it. And are you doing your fashion show on the same day?
Yeah, so October 4th will be the day of my third annual Walk in Her Shoes fashion show, and it will be the first sneak peek of our exhibit.
That's right. We got some work to do.
I hope you guys are there to see the show on our sneak peek, and then following us on social medias to follow when the real exhibit will drop.
That's right. All right. Well, I think we did. I think we let the people know.
I think we did.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Indigenous women experience violence at much higher rates, which is due to generational systemic injustice.